Irish Mammy channel on a glorious day. We have a glorious day for the polytunnel today. Almost say it's too warm, but we'll not just go quite that far. 32 degrees when I came in here this morning. Now obviously it'll cool off slightly now that I have the doors open on both sides. At least it'd have to, because I couldn't work in 32 degrees. Wouldn't be used to that heat here. So the plan today is to get my tomatoes in the ground. So you might have seen a bit of footage yesterday of me selecting all my tomatoes for all the different beds. So this bed nearest to me now is Roma's and Amish paste. So those are my preserving tomatoes, cooking tomatoes, and then the bed at the back there is lined up with a variety of salad, beef and cherry tomatoes. Mostly for fresh eating, but I do use, like, obviously I can't eat that many tomatoes, like there's 20 plants of those, and like all the kids don't eat tomatoes either, so we produce way more than we'll eat fresh. But what I like to do with those tomatoes is use them for pasta sauce. They make a nice sweet kind of pasta sauce, which is versatile in itself. It can be used for bolognese and stuff as well. So that is the plan for the overflow of those eating tomatoes. And then these preserving tomatoes will be probably predominantly tomato passata and chopped tomatoes. If I get a good crop of Romas, I might do whole peeled tomatoes in tomato sauce, which is something I haven't actually ever done yet. Now I could be limited with time come late summer when these are all coming to harvest, but I'm still hoping that I can freeze the most of them, and then I'll be able to preserve them whenever I can get to them, which is another option if you're just too busy to get to it in the summertime, which of course gardening can be quite a busy occupation in the summer and early autumn, when your harvests are coming thick and fast. So the freezer is a good way to just stave off some of that work. So I just got rudely interrupted there by a scam call. One of those scam calls where you have to question, is it a scam or is it not? But anyway, I think I was saying about these tomatoes. Yeah, so the plan for the overflow of the eaten tomatoes is pasta sauce. It makes a lovely sweet pasta sauce. Yeah, that's it. I also have peppers over here. So bell peppers and jalapenos and cayennes. I had originally planned to put them in two different beds, but I think I'm going to put them all in the same bed. And they're going to be a little bit crammed in, as in there's 30 plants there to go in a bed. Which, for comparison, my brassicas, which are there, well, there will be 20 plants in that bed. So they're going to be quite a bit tighter together. But peppers and chilies, I have found, like being closer together. Some people say they like to hold hands, but they do like to be touching of each other. They seem to produce better that way. This year I haven't actually pinched back my peppers. Well, to be honest, my own peppers didn't germinate at all. So that's the first confession. So the peppers, the bell peppers that I've got here, have been donated by a friend, which is something our DIY group kind of does, and especially the three of us who are here in the polytunnels, or well, the four of us here on site, that are members of the DIY group. We kind of swap and share out plants between us when we're stuck, which brings me to the next point. So I'm here on a Saturday morning, and I've just put up on our WhatsApp group a message to come in and help themselves to any of the leftover tomato plants that I have, for two reasons. Well, firstly, I hate to see them go to waste. I'd like to see someone getting use out of them. Not everyone has propagators and greenhouses to grow on their tomato plants, so we like to be helpful to each other for anyone that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, which takes time to get there and money. And then thirdly, I don't want to be looking after all these tomato plants for too long, so especially ones that I'm not going to need myself. So I'm hoping to get shot of most of them this morning, and have another thing off my plate to be worried about watering. because there's, needless to say, lots of water to be done at this time of year. So if I can get one thing took off that list, all the better. So I'll probably bring a close-up of doing one of these tomatoes. You can maybe see there are strings dropped here. So the same friend that donated the peppers came in and made sure I had enough strings dropped here for my tomatoes. So this is how I grow tomatoes. I grow them up the string. So the string is attached to these, I don't know what you call them, rafters at the top of the polytunnel. There's actually, the rafters are across, there are wires running the length, and then the strings are ran from the wires. So a few more strings had to be dropped for me. I don't know how I end up with not enough, because like tomatoes have been grown here for several years. But I suppose some of them fall off or rot eventually. So we have some new lines dropped, and so I bury the bottom of the line in the hole, wrapped around the roots of the tomato plant, and that keeps the string nice and taut, and then the vine of the tomato is wrapped around the string on its way up to the top. And eventually, when we get to maybe late July, I cut the plant off at the top, just to make sure that the fruit that's already on it ripens. So we'll go more into detail on that in a wee minute when I get down to planting. Okay, so I'm ready to get planting with my first plant. So you can see some of them got quite leggy. The propagator tends to do that when they're too long in the propagator, and obviously it's the outside temperature determines how long they have to stay in the propagator. So some of them had to stay longer than others. So this variety is called Muskotka. It's a bush variety. My first time to grow it, but I have seen other people grow it. It's supposed to be an early variety, as in possibly early July, but time will tell on that one and report back on whether it's actually that good. I think they're slightly larger than cherry tomatoes, or a large cherry variety if you like. So I'm just going to take off some of these bottom leaves here, and I'm just pinching them off with my nails. Even some suckers growing already, if you can see that if it's focused. So suckers growing already on them, and you can see some dried out tendrils as well, and that's definitely from leaving them in the propagator too long and not watering them enough. So I'm taking these bottom leaves off. And as the tomato grows, that's something that I do kind of throughout the season, is remove the bottom sets of leaves, because they just tend to attract disease for some reason from the bottom up, and especially if they're touching off the ground, they definitely need to be cleaned up. And as well as that, if you've too many leaves on, especially towards midsummer, like you're taking off leaves to stop the energy going to them, because there's no point in putting energy to leaves. It's fruit, we want all the energy going to. Now, so I have my string here. I need to unwind that for a wee second. Okay, so the string unwound here, and what I'm going to do is wrap the string around the roots. I'll bring you down closer so you'll see better. So I'm hoping you can see that better. So first I will dig the hole. That's the main thing to do. Now obviously the deeper you can bury these tomatoes, the better. So the Mypex is going to be a little bit cumbersome in this instance. Oftentimes when I have tomatoes long like this, I would actually bury them sideways in the bed, and then bend them up just at the bottom there where the first good set of leaves are coming from, and let them grow from that point up, and all along the stem that's buried in the ground they will send out more roots. But I'm going to be more limited on that because I have the Mypex, so they're going to be straight up this time. Okay, so I have the hole mostly dug there now. I've gone down as deep pretty much as I can. And I'll just hold the root ball down in the hole and then wrap the string around it, having pulled it taut there nice and tight. So I'm wrapping the string around the root ball down in the hole so that it's the correct length. So I'm hoping that's clear now. So I'm just pulling the end of the string now around the root ball here, down in the hole. And that's usually enough to hold the string down throughout the rest of the growing season, because obviously the root ball is going to send out roots, and that'll help hold the string in place then too. And just the little bits left over, bury them down as well. So that's a better view. There's the original root ball you can see there, and basically the string is wrapped around it underneath. And now obviously the soil is falling down around, so that's what's happening. So I'm just going to tuck it in now, fill the soil in around the edges there, make sure it's packed down well so that there's full contact with the actual roots. And so you have the string coming up right beside the stem of the plant. And then I'm just going to wrap the stem, then the main stem, around the string as it goes up. So there we are, you can see it's wrapped around. I generally leave the top not wrapped around too tight, just so that it can develop properly. This one has a little bit of a curve in it as well from whatever way it was growing, so it'll straighten out now over time, since it has been planted in properly, and eventually it'll be obviously grown on further, and I'll be able to wrap that around the string properly then as well. Try and avoid wrapping the very top of it around, because sometimes it can be very confusing as to what's actually a leaf and what's a side shoot and what's the main stem as well, so it can get a little bit confusing at the very top. The same when you're actually side shooting a tomato as well. I always leave the top of it alone, because it's very easy to pull out the main growing shoot, which you obviously don't want to do. It's not desirable if you can help it at all. But there is remedies to it if you do it. It's just faster it'll grow faster if you don't pull out the main shoot. So that's one plant down, 39 to go. 40 plants in total in this polytunnel, and I will still be growing probably about 10 more at home. Maybe more if you count what I'll put in window boxes and hanger baskets. Probably be closer to 60 plants altogether that I'll be growing. But I'll have tomato supply for a full year, so I can't complain. So I'll just put this on time lapse and get on with the rest of it, and hopefully I'll get it all done today yet. Okay, we're finally done with tomatoes, and I am definitely not sorry. That was a job and a half. It took me most of the day to get that job done. So I had to run off. I had done this first bed, and then I had to run off and do taxi service, of course. But I wasn't sorry, because I took the opportunity to get a bit of lunch when I was there as well, and have a bit of a rest, badly needed. And then I took into the far bed up there. So I'm going to do just a quick run through of what I've planted. I did go through the varieties when I was sowing the seeds before, so this will be very quick. And if I can get the pictures, I'll put pictures up just to show the different varieties, because it's very easy using the different names, but when you can't see what they're actually like, it doesn't make much sense to anybody, and that's understandable. So we're going up to the top bed here. So this is pretty simple planting. All down one side, all down this side, I have Roma VF. So Roma is a plum tomato. It's a semi-bush tomato as well. Last year I let them grow as a bush tomato, and it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. Now, I didn't have them on strings either, so that was the start of the mess. So this year the plan is, obviously they're on strings, and I'm going to side shoot them to a certain extent. Probably what I'll do is allow the side shoots to grow one set of flowers. That's what I'm thinking anyway, but it just depends on how attentive I am to the actual side shooting. It'll be a busy time of year, so either way, growing up the strings will certainly be a big help in comparison to last year. So Roma are a plum variety for cooking, just in case I haven't said that before. And all along the far side are my Amish paste. I don't know if that, along here, they're all Amish paste. And Amish paste are a large cooking tomato as well. They have much less seeds and much less of the juicy membraney stuff that's inside the tomatoes. So they're just basically full of plenty of flesh, which is good for cooking with and preserving. So I have all watered in now as well. Even though I have the drip system here and it is up and running to a certain extent, when I plant a new plant in the ground, I like to water it in just to settle all the soil around the roots. So then down here is more of a variety of different tomatoes. So I started all along this side with cherry tomatoes, and I think I may have a few on the other side as well, because I probably have more cherry tomatoes than anything else. So these first two here are very healthy plants. They're Gardener's Delight, and they're not near as spindly and sickly looking as the rest of them, but I have full confidence that the other tomatoes will toughen up and thicken up their stems and green up. In a matter of a week or two, they'll be looking completely different, and that's always the way. So the puny looking ones are ones that were left in the propagator too long. So I potted them on. They were the first tranche to be potted on, and it was just too cold to take them out of the propagator, so they grew too fast. they had too much heat and too much light as well, probably. Between all, they grew too fast. So that's hence why they're so spindly. But this has happened to me before, and I know that they will thicken up and sturdy themselves up a bit in the next few weeks. So we've 2 Gardener's Delight, very reliable cherry red tomato, and produces very long fruit trusses. So good production out of those. Sun Gold, 2 Sun Golds. Another favourite, most gardeners are familiar with, well, certainly tomato growers are familiar with Sun Gold. Hard to beat the Sun Gold tomato. Even people who don't like tomatoes like Sun Gold. An orange cherry variety, lovely and sweet. In fact, probably one of the sweetest tomatoes you can grow. And then we have 2 of Tim's Taste of Paradise. This is a new tomato to me this year, and what sold it to me was it's a yellow version supposedly of the Sun Gold. So Sun Gold is orange, Tim's Taste of Paradise is yellow. I like the variety of colour, and if it's going to taste like Sun Gold or anything similar to Sun Gold, it's going to be great. But time will tell. We'll see what they end up tasting like, because it's all very well looking nice, they have to taste nice as well. And my next one is Brad's Atomic Grape, 2 of those as well, and again another new one to me, and I'm very excited to grow it. It turns out a bit mad looking. The colours, it has multicolours of I think green and yellow and purple, and it's supposed to taste fantastic. And again, time will tell, and I'll be giving the review on that later in the year. And the last 2 on this row are Muskotka. Again, something I haven't grown before, but I've known ones who have grown it. It's a bush tomato and supposed to be very early. And I think I might have went into detail on that one. It was actually planting the first tomato. So then round to my first one here is Black Cherry. I just put in 1 Black Cherry tomato here. Again, it's colour, it's a black variety and it's cherry. Pretty obvious in the name there. Again, it's for colour. I like the flavour of it too, obviously. Can take it a while to mature though. The next one is Dark Galaxy, so that's this one here, and this is a new one to me. This is actually, now that I'm remembering, this can be any size. They can grow cherry size to huge big beefsteak size, so we'll see how that goes. And I suppose it depends on how long they have to develop. So probably the earlier fruits grow larger and the later fruits just grow smaller and ripen as smaller tomatoes. But again, it's a learning curve and we'll see. And it's interesting to note how purple the stem is there at the bottom. And I have 2 more of them up here. I don't know why they didn't get planted together, but if you get up close on the stem there, you can see how dark the stem is. And even some of the leaves, you know, the leaves are even quite dark compared to, we'll say, this one beside it. So that is of course a good indicator of the colour of this tomato. So purple or black tomatoes are high in anthocyanins, which is a purpley colour, and you can see it coming out in the foliage even. Then I have 2 Tigerella, so they're red salad sized tomato with green stripes, and again, yeah, nice flavour, but the colour is fantastic as well. So the 2 Dark Galaxy I have gone through, and now we have Marmont. Marmont is a classic variety. They generally have a fluted skin to them, and my experience of them has been that they've a fluted skin, but this particular packet didn't show the skin as fluted, so it will remain to be seen. Last year I grew Super Marmont, which, well, probably didn't get enough attention from me, but they didn't work out very good. I might give them a try another year again. So the Super Marmont were supposed to be huge, giant, like nearly 1 pound weight tomatoes. And possibly it's just not hot enough in our climate to grow those size tomatoes. But I went back to my regular Marmont this year. I really liked them in a sandwich. Huge amount of flesh, very few seeds, but nice acidity to the tomato, nice flavour to it as well. So it's a favourite as far as salad or beef steak tomatoes go for me. And then the last two is Dibberau. These are a plum-shaped tomato, a dark orangey red with green shoulders, and a beautiful smoky flavour to them. And you know, the gel inside the tomatoes is even a kind of a greeny colour, and it just adds to that kind of deep smoky flavour. So completely different to most of your other tomatoes, where you're getting a nice balance of sweetness and acidity. This is smoky, is the only way I can describe it, which might sound weird, but if you try them for yourself, you'll understand. I didn't get to the chilies yet. That's the next job on the list. So you'll see that here shortly. I'm not sure if I'll get to it this evening, but it'll be just coming up here on the next clip. The magic of video. So I finally got back to my chilies and peppers, not the next day like I thought it would. My physical limitations of being 6 months pregnant became apparent after I planted 40 tomato plants. So it took me the best part of a week to recover. Well, not quite a week to recover. I was doing a few bits at home as well. So it has taken me a week to get back to planting my chilies and peppers. Finally got them in the ground today. And I also planted a few sorry looking cauliflower plants over there as well. I figured they were as well in the ground as in the tray, wilting away. So we'll see how they go. I have more coming along anyway if they don't do well there. But finally the end is in sight for my polytunnel. I've only 3 empty beds left now, so you can see one there behind, dirty hands. That's left for melons. I might put some squash in there as well. Don't want to put too many plants in, but we'll see what I get in there. And I have 2 beds here at the front. So these 2 beds either side of the door are free. I had originally planned to plant flowers in these, but I've gave up on that idea. I'm going to put sweet corn in. 2 beds of sweet corn, I'm nearly sure is what I'm going to put in there. Roughly 60 plants, which would be a good harvest of sweet corn. And of course some of that will be fresh eating and some of it will be preserved. So last year I grew sweet corn, and the year before. Last year it was outside that I grew it. Having done it outside the year before with great success, but then last year we had a very wet summer. Pretty much the whole of July and August never stopped raining. So our sweet corn didn't do quite as well, but I was able to preserve it, both cobs and kernels. I just froze it, the handiest way, but this year I might get round to jarring up some of it and doing canned corn basically. If the harvest goes right or in my favour, which I'm hoping it will. The polytunnel should be a big help. Now, Sweet corn of course needs wind to pollinate, but because they're beside the door, that should help, and they will be in a grid pattern planted as well. So they should have no problem with germination, and I know the other guys in the tunnel beside me have planted sweet corn with great success in the polytunnel as well. So that's the plan for that. Once I get the sweet corn in, which was actually just sown today, I had it soaking in water for a few days. Sowed it earlier on today, so we're talking maybe 2-3 weeks, so probably mid-May before I get that into the actual ground. But that's it, that'll be my polytunnel planted, which is great. And during the week I had a friend working with me on my raised beds outside the greenhouse at home. So they're ready for planting now as well. So I'm in the process of planning that out. I have plenty of plants, but it's just deciding what needs to go outside. Now that I have all this extra space in the tunnel, it's hard to decide what to actually plant outside in my raised beds. So yeah, I'll have a busy week planning all that. That will probably be the next video, planting my outdoor garden. And after that, hopefully a polytunnel tour of progress. And see how it progresses over the summer, and I'm hoping I'll have most of my hard work done at that stage and just have maintenance and harvest to do then after that, which is just as challenging, or can be just as challenging. So yeah, that's the plan for the next few weeks. So that's going to wrap up this video a week later. Keep an eye out for my next few videos coming up. Like I said, polytunnel tour in the works, and my outdoor garden planting as well. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up button down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.